Greetings, world builders and hybrid enthusiasts. Today we are doing the second part in our series on New World's Ocean Hybrid to challenge Vex. Please sit back and enjoy. I am Constitutional Writer, and this is Beginning of New Worlds. Now that we have covered Enzimainen, the protector of Alaska and the North in our last video, it is time for his story. The idea for a hybrid from New World Enterprises was fostered about the time of the beginning of the dangerous experiments carried out by Goji Industries. The pace was quickened when it was discovered that Goji Industries created Vex's older siblings. The greatest minds at NW Enterprises began engineering on their first major hybrid, and it was a success. On the same day that Vex hatched, Enzimainen was birthed from an artificial womb in New World's northern station at Eagle Island, outside of Grayling, Alaska. Eagle Island facility had training and enclosures built into the Yukon River to let the trainers interact with May every day, even in winter, though they had to take a special sub then when the river froze over. May, however, could still survive in winter in a more dormant state under the ice. As May grew, he became fiercely loyal to all the people at Eagle Island facility, as his pilot whale genes made him extremely social, and since he had no other family, the humans there became its pod. May formed a special bond with her two main trainers, Martin Bahrain and his daughter Misty. In fact, May and Misty formed almost a sister-brother bond, where he would do almost anything for her. May also learned extremely quickly, taking in and absorbing every task and problem he was put to solve. His tentacles proved extremely useful for opening and manipulating objects, as was seen the time when he broke out of his enclosure and into the facility. He got stuck after a while in all the small corridors, and it took a full team to slide him back into the water. May was extremely curious and almost seemed to enjoy any challenge, especially when it took him a while to solve. Eventually, when Vex started becoming a problem, New World was forced to accelerate his training. May was released into the Arctic Oceans to fight the predators that it encountered, easily vanquishing any of them it came across. Even the orca, when it was encountered, was outmaneuvered and tricked by May. The first hybrid conflict was this Abyssaurus. This happened when May was roaming out and foraging for food. He picked up Abyssaurus on his radar. When the two faced off, it was a very even match, as both of their speeds were roughly equal. May ultimately triumphed with his toxins, though he did lose his tail for the first time. After this, May was brought back to Eagle Island to recover, which he did in less than 2 weeks. It was noticed that the older May got, and the more times he regenerated, the faster the regeneration got. But his time in the ocean had made him lonely, and even through coaxing, he would only leave Eagle Island for no more than a week at a time. And even when he did, he would quite often join with a pod of orcas, fin whales, or pilot whales out of need of company. When he ventured abroad, May could travel thousands of miles, recorded deep into the Pacific Ocean and almost all areas within the northern oceans. The New World leaders decided that May was perfect and officially put him into action. He was set to patrol all the seas in the north, though mainly in the icy waters around Alaska and Canada. The fight with Vex will occur when she moves into one of these oceans around Canada or Alaska. May would sense the new presence from the change in the natural rhythm of the water. He would immediately camouflage and activate his low twitch muscles, courtesy of the split brain from the pilot whale and the natural muscles of the Greenland shark. This would make him completely invisible to the eye and nearly invisible to electroreception, as long as he does not move too much. Vex's noise would be the first thing to reach him, as sound travels far in water. Her unique sounds would still be very familiar to May, and he would send out his own calls in response. Vex would be slightly interested by the similar yet distinct sound, as it was not from any animal she had ever faced. She would go to investigate, and since both of them have echolocation, Vex would have no problem locating May, though his invisibility and lack of movement would make her pause for a moment. Seeing the new strange creature in his waters, May would send out some friendly greeting calls and begin flashing his multicolors in greeting. Vex, seeing him, realizes that this is another hybrid, and though the colors are distracting, she charges him, as all previous hybrids had tried to kill her, and this time she would not give it a chance to attack. May would realize that Vex is attacking him and go into full energy mode, firing up and quickly snaking around and dodging Vex before darting off. His initial speed is more than Vex can cope with, though she goes to sprint and quickly catches up. May turns on a dime and dodges Vex again, whipping his tail around to sting her, which does nothing really, due to her thick hide. May realizes she is tougher than she looks. Vex also realizes that this new creature is slightly different matter to her earlier fights, similar to her in size and able to outmaneuver her in close combat. She pauses to study this foe and sees the highly mobile fins that seem to help him perform these acrobatics. She charges again, aiming for the fins. May dodges some more, then folds his fins and when Vex seems about to nip them. Foiled again, Vex moves away, and May makes a few more clicks to try and communicate. But Vex is not listening and charges his tail, biting down before he can dodge. They thrash around in the water, and Vex gets the nasty toxins and stinging cells in her mouth, but she holds on grimly. Making a quick decision, May whips around and simultaneously detaches his tail, then reveals his secret weapon, latching onto Vex's side and holding. Vex is stunned that he would drop his tail, and there is so little blood, that because May was already cutting circulation to his tail before he dropped it. Now it's Vex's turn to thrash around, but May is a weight class heavier and holds her firmly, and slowly begins to drag her deeper into the depth. He continues to send clicks at her, trying to get through, but Vex is obstinate. At last, after almost 30 minutes of struggle and slow movement, the two begin to enter depth, at which Vex is unable to withstand. She finally stops struggling, and May stops dragging her. He then gives her a little nip and makes some angry clicks at her. At last she responds, and they both begin to communicate. They can somehow sense that the other one is roughly the same age as them. May gives her one more shake and then drags her up into the less dark depth and releases Vex. He gives her a little nudge, and Vex responds. Meanwhile, back in Eagle Island, the New World operators are wondering what is happening, perhaps assuming that the creation is dead or seriously wounded. Misty, in particular, is very vexed due to his sudden slowness in movement, fearing that she has lost her animal brother. But May then begins to move, slowly at first, then starts snaking back towards Alaska to rest and heal up. The next day, Vex is spotted heading towards her next destination. It is unknown what happened in those dark, icy depths, but Vex has never done any more aggressive actions within these northern oceans, though she does seem to visit them quite often, and on those occasions, May is always absent from Eagle Island. This battle was done in one of the northern oceans, as NC Mining was created as an even match for Vex, giving a 50-50 for most circumstances. However, in the northern waters, this would be raised to 60-40 or higher. If this battle happened in the Yukon River or somewhere close, like the Kuskokwim or the Bering Sea, it would raise Mai's odds to 70 or even 80%. But in that case, May would be more inclined to view Vex as a predator, trying to hunt his pod, and be more likely to try and kill her, which I do not want. So, there is NC Minen, the Defender of Alaska. Thank you for watching.